I've heard people like argue that they don't want to tell people that if they're vaccinated. Most of these people that aren't vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
And you ask them, "Are you vaccinated?" And they say that's a private issue. That is a personal, private medical issue, and they don't want to discuss it, right? Which I'm not sure how this is something that needs that privacy, right? And I don't really know what medical issues would have a sensitive enough subject where you wouldn't be providing that information.
Actually, you're bringing up a good point right now. Also, from a social standpoint, like not being vaccinated, being vaccinated is kind of a social standpoint too, right? Because there are certain people who look down upon people. Hey, you're not vaccinated. You know, you're not gonna hang out with us in a sense. Or versus you're vaccinated. You know, okay, cool. You know, you just follow the people, whatever. Like it's a social, I guess, stigma to a certain degree almost now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you noticed that. I noticed
It's been very political. That's why it's been very politicized, and so like each side has their own opinion of people who are or aren't vaccinated.
Yeah. I mean, I remember last year when we did our Joshua Tree, I said, I didn't care if you're vaccinated or not. I said, just show me your negative COVID test. You can just come, right?
There was no
And
vaccinations though at that point. We
when
couldn't
was
get vaccinated.
when did COVID? When did we go to the trip? September, right?
Yeah, September-ish. But like I couldn't get.
Oh yeah,
I
we could not get vaccine.
couldn't
We
get
couldn't
vaccinated. Yeah, so we all just took COVID tests. But yeah, that's.
But I'm still okay with that right now, though. If you come to, let's say, I have a product to me, just show me your COVID test. I'm okay. I don't care if vaccinated or not. At least my personal thought in a sense, right? Show me your negative COVID test to have the flexibility.
But Mike, like that's a personal, private,
correct
medical issue that I don't want to be telling you if I'm have COVID or not. You see, like where's the line there? Like
I guess
get
now,
it.
if you don't want to tell me that, I wouldn't want you to come to my event because I want you to affect everybody around me then.
Right? Yeah, now you're ostracizing me for having the privacy of my own medical records.
Yeah,
See, I don't get. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
But there's a fine line. I get that. I 100% agree with you on that part. But if you're coming to my house and I'm exposing you to people, it's my responsibility to make sure people are safe, though, right?
Yeah. No, I get it.
So
it's just like that person
should be understanding, though.
I just don't understand, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, listen, I hang out with friends who have COVID already. I mean, I've hung out with people who has not COVID yet, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I feel like we cannot treat this in a sense that, I mean, people, I get the privacy situation, but whether you have the COVID,
can you explain it to me, the privacy situation? Like what kind of privacy do they have an issue with? Like,
well,
I don't understand.
They don't really have an issue with the privacy situation. They're more like, it's more about the social stigma about it. That's the key part.
So
that's just why they rather not tell. Okay, so for example, right, if you most people won't tell you they had COVID unless you already asked them, in a sense, right? Like, hey, have you ever had COVID before, right? In a sense, like they wouldn't come up in a conversation. Hey, listen, I already had COVID before, blah blah blah. You know, all this stuff, all the things like because of this social stigma.
I don't think no one's gonna go out and tell you, right, straight up, like, oh, I've had COVID. But like, if you ask them, they'll tell you, or like maybe they won't. But like, there's no stigma if you've had it. There's stigma if you haven't had the vaccine because it's
well, that's part of this
that's political, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it shouldn't be as political as it is.
It should be. I agree.
And it's like, I don't know. You ask people if they've had the flu shot, right? And they'll tell you yes or no. There's no stigma there, right? I don't think this should be something that's stigmatized like that.
I 100% agree on that part. And this is why it goes back to my original point of this conversation was that, you know, how kids had those vaccine passports to go to kindergarten school like that. I don't think this should be a big deal because we already seen this happening already at that level.
I have a question for you too, Mike. Yeah. I remember when we first talked about COVID and all this stuff. I think Sean was on, and you were talking about COVID passports or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were staunchly against having a passport to say that if you had the vaccine or not. You were very much against it. Are you still on that train?
Well, let's recap the episode a little bit better so during that time when we were talking about it, we were more about the question was more like, hey, do you think we should all have required passport to show the vaccine in a sense, right? And making vaccine required.
No,
That was a topic.
should we have it's not about that. It's about if we should have a passport that tells you if you're vaccinated or not.
Yeah. So for me, I still kind of stands in a sense that I don't think that there should be a passport for all the vaccinations if it's not required. If nobody makes it required, right, across the United States, it's not standardized across board. I don't think it should be required. But if everybody said, from federal law level, right, just like there is all 50 states for kids in school, right? Hey, this is the minimum requirement for vaccines for your kids are allowed to go to school, federal law, flat out, right? Then I mean, I'm okay with it because now you standardize across board everything now. Okay, but the thing is that where do you draw the fine line now of that piece, right? So again, we just gotta be careful with the whole situation where we're like, let's say that with the COVID vaccine now, right? The boosters is coming up next year, right? Now, are we forced to get the booster as well? Is that required going forward every year? So why not the flu shots at that point? What is it? What do we draw the line right now, right? To kind of so forth build on.
To make it required? Like nothing's required, man. Like you're not even required to get the COVID vaccine. So it's not like
no, I get it, but right now it's not though, right? But there are certain schools that require certain vaccines to go to kids, right? I'm just saying, like, I'm just drawing like an example, but like, if we're gonna have the passport required, then what is the point of having a passport required if nobody's gonna use it? You see what I'm saying?
But certain states are gonna use it, right? So something like Hawaii is gonna require it, where they require.
Listen, I'm not against it. I'm not against that.
Like, if they require it, like it doesn't have to be a federal requirement. I think a state requirement's fine. I think a city requirement is fine. It's just like, just have someone enforcing it, because right now we don't have anyone enforcing it.
My issue was that it was because it was also forcing the vaccine to be required. That was why I was kind of against that a little bit.
Yeah, you were against forcing to be vaccinated to travel.
Required to travel, yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, like we're going to Hawaii, right? I don't care. I'm filling that paper out, because we're going to their state. Otherwise I don't want to be quarantined for like 10 days. It's a waste of my time, right? And so I'll fill that out. I'm not against that at all. And if like I said, if they standardize across board everything, imagine that you fill out one account instead of 50 accounts for every state you travel to. Now I may have to fill out California one when I go back to visit California, or I have to fill out New York one, and I have to fill out Georgia one. Every state's gonna have their own thing. It gets tedious, let's be honest. You're gonna have 50 different sites to go into 50 different accounts.
I don't think that's how it is, man. I think
I'm just saying.
I mean, if you have one, then it works for all. Because if
it may not, it may not.
How can it not be?
Because it's, like you said, it's a state or city level.
No, but if they see another city or another state's vaccination, how can they not be able to be okay with that?
But you still got to register that to the, open, make sure your data get passed, to that account, make sure this is legit. No one is.
Are you signing up for something? I don't know what you're signing up for.
So like,
literally, my California ID was just me going into my medical records and downloading it, and that was it. There was nothing else.
So I'm just saying in general, right? If you think about this, like Hawaii is making people sign up to the form, right, to make sure to get registered, show the proof, right?
Yeah.
If every single state start doing that, there are different systems that's going to do that, and it may be at control at a state level, right? What I was saying earlier, that imagine if you just have a federal level, one federal site, everybody could use the same exact site. You do it once.
Yeah, but if it's not, then it's the government, right? They do whatever the fuck they want. They're the most inefficient system ever. So